Hey guys, Zomfox here, and today we're going to be talking about the USFL draft as we finally have news and info about when it is happening. This is an article from USFLnewsroom.com, exclusive details on the 2023 USFL College Draft by Stephen Herchuk and on February 17th. So, many have speculated about the upcoming USFL draft, but we now have the scoop. We've confirmed with the league sources that the USFL will hold the draft on February 21st at 1 p.m. That's next Tuesday. Where it differentiates from last year is that it is now the college draft. This is essentially the line between players that join via free agent signing versus being entered into the draft pool. As we understand it, USFL coaches are going to target players on the edge of being drafted into the NFL, so 6th, 7th round guys and UDFAs. At the end of the day, the draft is about players' rights. I'll get into more of that later. In our opinion, this shows the USFL is thinking long term. There's a chance that a lot of these players don't even play this year, but it doesn't mean they won't in the next couple. The 23 USFL college draft will also consist of 10 rounds totaling 80 picks. In terms of the order, if you need reminding, it is the Panthers, Maulers, Gamblers, Showboats, Breakers, Generals, Stars, Stallions, in that order for the whole draft. There's no snake, it's just that order. Although the draft takes place Tuesday, USFL execs will actually be hard at work in the lead-up. Daryl Johnson himself will be at the HBCU Heritage Bowl on Monday to further scout some players that might get picked, and USFL officials will also be on hand at the Combine, NFL Combine. Now, the pool has over 3,000 players. Of those 3,000 players, less than 3% will end up being selected. Now, aside from that, is that they're not part of the 58-man training camp roster immediately when drafted. The fine folks at the USFL podcast were the first to drop the news. If you want to watch the full segment, I got the link down below to this link. Now, if you are hoping to get live coverage of the draft, we have you covered at the USFL podcast. They'll be streaming the whole thing, going over every pick that come in. You can go check that out on YouTube when the draft comes out. Now, who would you like to see selected in the upcoming draft? Let us know your thoughts down below. So, yes, this is some huge news that we finally actually know when the draft is and what it is. So, for those of you who don't know exactly what it means by picking players' rights, a good example is actually two players, almost any two, but two players from the original USFL. When you look at Mike Rozier and Tim Spencer, they're both basically the same idea. So, Tim Spencer himself was on the Blitz and the Wranglers and then the Showboats. But the thing with him is that in 1983, the same year he went to the USFL, he was actually drafted by the Chargers. They picked him in the 11th round. He wasn't an 11th round talent, he was much higher of a talent, but they picked him that late because he was in the USFL. The idea was if he left the USFL for any reason, whether the league ceases or he wants to go to the NFL, the Chargers would have the rights to him. And then the same thing with Mike Rozier, who was picked in a supplemental draft, which is the whole point of that was just to get players' rights rather than just using regular picks. And so the Oilers, with the second overall pick in that supplemental draft, drafted him, and so after his season with the Bulls in 85, he became an Oiler. That was the whole idea of it, was to have this kind of thing happen. So it's definitely a good thing for it to happen, to have these rights. It's going to allow a lot of players to have a backup plan if the NFL doesn't work, is to already be on USFL, player rights. Now, we'll see who happens to get picked there. I wonder if a team's going to risk Stetson Bennett, since Bennett is definitely going to be drafted in the NFL, but a lot of people don't think he's actually an NFL caliber quarterback, as well what quarterbacks end up playing this season and other positions. We'll see about that later. This has been ZomFox. If you enjoyed this content and want to notify us about any videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and as always, have a great day.